Renaissance, the French word for rebirth. Rebirth from the 14th to the 16th century. A new and glorious time of prosperous trade that invigorated a continent's thirst for knowledge, creativity, innovation, and new ideas, art, and economy. This was a time of rebirth, renewal, and new ways of living. People from all over the then known world, including northern Italy, China, the Middle East, were coming together with new and fresh ideas, technologies, allowing trade to boom and expand all over Europe. Humanism was taking hold in cities such as Florence. More and more people were understanding a whole new way of life embodied in ancient and Greek-Roman thought. In addition, shipports were flooded around the clock with exotic goods from China, Egypt, India, and Asia, and many people led a successful life. But the glorious towns of the Renaissance also put others down, and not all, including peasants that had no money or importance, could participate in this new revival or rebirth of trade and ideas.
Before the Renaissance, poverty and the Black Death struck the people in Europe without mercy, with the Black Death killing almost 1/3 of the people in Europe, thus taking a gigantic toll on the trade and economic structure in 1348 to 1350. Imagine 1/3 of the people in North America gone. With all this death, believers thought Satan had struck. Trading was rare and the economy was failing. When traveling on land, thieves would loot the merchants' precious goods and send them home empty-handed. Shipping was rare, and merchants who did venture out would sometimes be seized by pirates and vanish into the murky waters. Traders started not trusting the ocean, and with only a map to guide them, trading was lost from the world. But many factors contributed to the rise of the Italian Renaissance. These include the fall of Constantinople, the rebirth of Greek and Roman thought, wealthy families starting to fund artists, merchants, and the church. Families such as the Medici started paying for artists to paint for them and started investing and trading across the Mediterranean. Another condition that started the Renaissance was the defense. People in ports weren't attacked because the mountains to the north protected them. This gave them a nice defense from invaders and an advantage, that they could focus on trade and the economy and not worry about a defense or attack.
The city of Constantinople was the greatest trading city in the Roman Empire. It was located between Europe and Asia. This made it easy to trade and travel to. Constantinople controlled the Black Sea, so when the city was captured by the Crusades in 1493, many of the people fled to Europe. Farmers, bankers, smiths, sailors, and other peasants all went to Europe. That quickly increased the population and trade massively. Farmers made more food for the people, bankers opened new banks and let out loans. People saw that Europe was a prospering continent and traveled there in high hopes of being prosperous. But tensions surfaced as Europe was growing, with more money profiting into select groups. More people got upset because one group person got the money and they would feel they were forgotten. With the money not distributed evenly, more groups got more powerful while other groups became weak due to lack of funding. This made the Renaissance also a bad time for some people, especially the lower classes.
Geographically, Italy was in a prosperous position because it was close to the water and many other European cities such as Genoa and Venice. The economy in the Renaissance relied on trade. Trade was what allowed the Renaissance to flourish by bringing in foreign goods and inventions. Trade also allowed new ideas to be shared and spread along trade routes. In addition, trade made the economy stable. The most famous trade route was the Silk Road, which has many long roads from Europe to the Middle East to China. As people became wealthier through trade, they had finally enough money to spend on things other than survival. Wealthy families could now sponsor artists, architects, mentors, and tutors. People had started a growth in culture and education at this time.
With the starting of the Renaissance, wealthier families and merchants could start funding voyages. Ships were made with a higher quality than before and had more space and defense. With more space, they could transport more goods from place to place. With more defense, pirates couldn't seize them as easily. Pirates were dying and trading grew more and more. One of the most significant conditions that allowed trade and economy to merge was the invention and improvement of navigational instruments. One example of this is the compass. Improvements in the compass allowed for shorter and more accurate voyages. Another advancement was in making maps. Portuguese collected information from travelers. They added this information to maps that already existed, and with that they fashioned more reliable maps. These two advancements meant that sailors could get to places faster and also meant that they could travel longer with more accurate information, which resulted in more goods. A strong economy is necessary in order for cities to flourish the way that they did at the time. When an economy fails, the people that rely on it will gradually return to their former state, which was feudalism. The feudalism system developed after the Roman Empire fell. This was when a monarch or king gave lands to nobles in return for their military support. Nobles gave it to lesser nobles to rule over their kingdom. This provided powerful alliances but weren't good for peasants. Peasants basically had no rights. They couldn't move houses or marry someone who was higher in nobility. Also, in war, peasants would go out and fight. In return, nobles would give them protection. The feudal system was entirely gone by the 17th century.
As we look back from 2010, we think that trade and economy was so hard and difficult to work and build with compared to our time. These days, we can just fly, drive, or sail somewhere in a matter of hours, unlike the Italian Renaissance. It would take months just to cross the Mediterranean Sea. We also look in awe at the Greek architecture. The Roman Colosseum was built with stone in 60 years without technology and still standing. Yet we haven't built something like that in Calgary or anywhere for that matter. We are lucky for having the Italian Renaissance and to be able to look back on it. With no Renaissance, trade and the economy would not be as common for another 100 to 200 years later. We would still be in the Dark Ages, and trade and the economy would have developed at a less rapid rate. Paintings wouldn't be painted. Sculptures would have never been made, such as the Statue of David. Families such as the Medici might have had a different impact on Florence. Geniuses such as Leonardo da Vinci would have never been born, and some famous things such as Vatican City would have never been made. The Italian Renaissance made a good and large impact on our world's history.